My name is Ellie, mother-in-law Madison, who has always seemed determined to make my life challenging. Madison holds traditional values dearly and often enforces them stringently. For years, my husband John and I lived a significant distance from his parents, which minimized Madison's influence on our daily lives. However, when John landed a better job closer to his family, we moved nearer to them, and I found myself once again navigating the turbulent waters of interaction with Madison. Despite having a background of dealing with overbearing parents myself, managing Madison's expectations proved continually difficult. Thankfully, my father-in-law Dylan was a supportive presence. The core of the issue escalated when Madison gained frequent access to our 9-year-old daughter, Mila. Mila, a genuinely sweet and family-loving child, had only her grandparents, Dylan and Madison, since we were estranged from my own parents. I made a considerable effort to put aside my grievances with Madison to foster a positive grandparent-grandchild bond. John also believed deeply in the importance of family connections, so cutting ties with Madison was not considered. Although Dylan and Madison showed affection towards Mila, Madison harbored a significant grievance regarding how I managed Mila's diet. She frequently criticized my decision to avoid nuts in Mila's meals due to her severe allergy, suggesting that exposure was necessary for overcoming such allergies. Despite repeatedly explaining the medical risks confirmed by our pediatrician and ensuring Mila's diet was balanced and safe, Madison remained skeptical. She dismissed professional advice and accused me of coddling Mila, thereby depriving her of essential nutrients and, in her view, being a negligent mother. Exhausted by the continuous need to defend my parenting choices and concerned for Mila's well-being, I turned to John for support. I expressed my growing anxiety about leaving Mila alone with Madison, who disregarded my explicit instructions and continued to introduce allergenic foods to Mila. Thankfully, Mila was aware of the dangers and steadfastly refused such foods. However, the situation was becoming increasingly untenable, and I found myself at a crossroads, needing to protect my daughter while grappling with the complexities of familial obligations. Ellie was deeply concerned about her daughter Mila's allergies and the approach her in-laws, particularly her mother-in-law Madison, took towards them. Despite her worries, John reassured Ellie that his parents wouldn't do anything harmful. He believed his father would keep a close eye on Madison to prevent any risky experiments with food. Mila adored her grandparents, and Ellie couldn't bear the thought of depriving her of their affection. Yet, Ellie's concerns lingered as Madison's attitude towards Mila's allergies remained dismissive. Ellie voiced her fears to John, stressing how uneasy she felt whenever Mila was with her grandparents without her. John tried to calm her, promising to discuss the issue with his mother, confident that she would understand their concerns. Their conversation, however, did little to ease Ellie's mind, especially as Mila's 13th birthday approached, a celebration that was supposed to be joyful. Madison and her husband Dylan were among the early arrivals at the party. Madison's excitement and insistence on Mila opening her gift, a large, festively wrapped box, before anything else raised Ellie's suspicions. Driven by excitement, Mila eagerly unwrapped her grandmother's gift at Madison's urging, revealing a big birthday cake. The room filled with cheers that quickly turned into a horrifying silence as Mila collapsed. Panic ensued as her throat swelled up, an allergic reaction. John sprinted for the EpiPen while someone else dialed for emergency help. Amidst the chaos, Ellie confronted Madison, who defensively claimed innocence, suggesting the problem was Ellie's fault for not providing proper nutrition. The incident not only marred the birthday celebration but also exposed the underlying trust issues within the family, bringing to light the serious consequences of neglecting health concerns and the importance of understanding and respecting medical conditions like allergies. I shouted in alarm as panic set in. "What have you done?" "Madison, she was perfectly fine a moment ago, and now Mila looks like she's having an allergic reaction." I couldn't contain my growing fear. "You didn't put anything in that cake, did you? I had a feeling I should have watched you, especially after you promised her the best gift ever. Now look at her. She's turning blue." My voice broke with emotion. Ignoring Madison's protests, I focused on Mila. John rushed over with an EpiPen, and I administered it immediately. Although Mila's swelling subsided slightly, she remained unconscious, compelling us to rush her to the hospital to ensure her safety. The room was heavy with concern. Tears streamed down my face, and John appeared on the verge of tears. Madison, overwhelmed and frightened, began to cry. Driven by a mix of fear and anger, I decided to investigate further and cut open the cake. To my horror, it was filled with nuts. Madison, are you out of your mind? How many times have I told you Mila is allergic to nuts? I was furious. You ignored everything I said and put nuts in the cake? This is reckless. Madison tried to justify her actions, claiming, I was just trying to help. I thought a little exposure to nuts might help her overcome the allergy. I didn't intend any harm. John exploded. Mom, that's insane. She could have died. You don't get to decide how we manage her allergy. Despite her obvious mistake, Madison defensively insisted, I'm her grandmother. It's my right to take care of her. She'll be fine. You're all just overreacting to scare and punish me. I was seething with anger. If it were up to me, Madison, you'd face severe consequences for this. But right now, Mila's well-being is my only concern. As the ambulance arrived and paramedics took over, we followed them to the hospital. The doctors informed us Mila would need a couple of days to fully recover. I broke down, sobbing in John's arms, both of us seeking solace in each other's embrace. Once I composed myself, John called Dylan to update everyone that Mila was out of immediate danger. After ending the call, I turned to John, my voice firm with resolve. I will never forgive your mother for this, John. She could have killed our daughter. John nodded gravely. I know, Ellie. It's hard to believe she'd go this far just to challenge your parenting. She's changed, and not for the better. This wasn't about making Mila happy. It was about proving a point against you. Ellie, it's become painfully clear just how far my mother will go to tarnish your reputation. Today was a stark reminder of that. I'm deeply sorry for not recognizing the danger her presence posed to our family much earlier. I regret not shielding Mila from my mother's harmful actions. It makes me feel like I've failed as both a husband and a father. John's realization of the gravity of the situation was palpable as he spoke. Despite Dylan being a supportive grandfather, Madison had completely overstepped all boundaries this time. Her antics had slipped past us before, but today, we were determined not to let her get away with it. After what happened, my husband and I had a critical conversation at the hospital and decided it was time for decisive action. When we returned home, for hours after the chaos, we found Dylan admonishing Madison, who nonchalantly continued to text on her phone, oblivious to the severity of the situation. The untouched birthday cake, a sad reminder of the day's events, was still in the living room. Holding back tears, I reassured everyone that Mila was safe and receiving excellent care, still under sedation but expected to wake up soon. Dylan expressed his relief and gratitude, but Madison, trapped in her denial, dismissed the incident as trivial, claiming it would somehow strengthen Mila's resistance to allergies. At that moment, John couldn't contain his frustration any longer. He confronted Madison with fierce words, joined by Dylan, who also didn't hold back. The guests looked on in shock, their faces reflecting disgust at Madison's behavior. Overwhelmed with anger, I declared it was the last straw. Enough is enough, Madison. We've tolerated your behavior for too long. Despite your actions landing my daughter in the hospital, you show no remorse. This ends now. This is the final breaking point. We can't let you be a part of our lives or near our home again. In a heated exchange, Madison retorted, You can't dictate where I can or cannot go. My son will not support you cutting me off without a valid reason. I refuse to let you push me out of my granddaughter's life just because you disagree with my views on parenting. John knows I'm correct, and he will stand by me. However, John firmly countered, Absolutely not, Mom. You are no longer welcome near me or my family. Dad can come here anytime, since he's the only reasonable grandparent Mila has. He tried to prevent you from harming Mila, but today, your actions landed Mila in the hospital, and you still think you did the right thing. I can't have someone so heartless around my daughter. Madison was stunned. She had always believed John would back her up, but she failed to see that John was sensible and not misguided like she was. Even the guests began to reprimand her, forcing Madison to realize she had no allies. Dylan wasn't on her side either. In desperation, she screamed, "Ellie, this is all you're doing. You've orchestrated this to embarrass me and turned everyone against me. I'll never forgive you. You should be begging for forgiveness. You've ruined your own reputation and lost your relationship with Mila. You'll never see her again." I calmly responded, "Good luck arguing for grandparents' rights from a jail cell. I wonder what the judge would think of a felon asking for visitation rights after endangering her own granddaughter." Madison's face filled with fear. "What do you mean, Ellie? Why would I go to jail? I haven't done anything wrong," she protested. I explained, "What you did, knowingly exposing a child to allergens, is considered poisoning. You might not have been aware, but John and I were